This really is a good question to end on when we go back out into the real world, for lack of a better term. How do we recognize the difference between fulfilling our purpose and then just getting busy? How do you can fill your things, you can fill your life with things that are good. They're not necessarily evil or sinful or not of God, but there's definitely things that we give attention to. And I know we kind of alluded to that earlier. How do you recognize what's from the Lord and what to pass on? But yeah, how do you recognize the difference between fulfilling your purpose and just getting busy?
Go ahead.
So we started off with this,
Right.
but the way that we minister is out of relationship with the Father through Jesus Christ.
Sure.
And so when we get off course or we get off balance in our relationship with the Father, then that fellowship gets compromised, and we need to make adjustments in life to get back on track. Does that make sense? So when we get too busy or things are overwhelmed, or we're in a place of just constant stress and anxiety, there are probably adjustments that need to be made. The part that I find funny is we always assume the first thing that needs to get cut and adjusted is what God told us to do. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it can't be this, it can't be that, it can't be this, it can't be that, so what else can I cut? Oh, what has God, I can stop doing that ministry, or I can stop serving this, or I can stop, having people over and doing our Bible study, or whatever it is that the Lord's put on your heart. I just think it's funny that sometimes that's our first go-to, is what has the Lord said, and that's the first thing that gets cut. But I think the key to determining this question is have we sought the Lord with our whole heart? And we talked about how to discover his plan and purpose. It really requires us to have a full heart that seeks him, not a half-hearted seeking, not just a distracted heart, but a full heart that really seeks and asks the Lord, what do you want me to do? Because we talked about it. We can't do everything. You're not meant to do everything. You're not created to do everything. And what you do will change from season to season. But we never want to stop doing what he's asked us to do. And in our message, But First God, we saw Jesus in Mark chapter 1, verse 35. Okay, and I think Jesus modeled this obviously so well. We see stuff like this often, but it says, in the morning, having risen a long while before daylight, Jesus went out and departed to a solitary place, and he prayed. What did he do? He prayed. And Simon and those who were with him, the disciples, they searched for him. When they found him, they said to him, everyone's looking for you. But he said to them, let us go into the next towns, that I may preach there also, because for this purpose I have come forth. And so there was ministry that his disciples had arranged for him to do. They were saying, ministry's happening, it's popping, there's a crowd, they want to hear from you, they want to be taught by you, they want to hear your message, they want to see the miracles. And so come over here to this crowd. But Jesus, who had just been with the Father and heard the Father, said, no, I'm not to do that right now. I need to go to this town because that's what the Father told me to do. Right. And so I do believe that there's a key there on how the Father wants to lead us. It's by seeking him and asking him regularly, like, what is it that you want me to be doing today? What am I to be about right now? Yeah. And what adjustments need to be made? Because if we just keep adding to our plate, we're going to get burnt out, right?
Yeah, I think a real practical way is something that I've done, because I think there's also a practical component to this, is I usually go through what are the roles in my life, who are the people, and then I begin to lay that at the Lord's feet. Right. Well, there's been seasons where he's had me focus in on certain friends, that there's just, I can't be friends with everybody, but there are certain friends. There's been seasons that he's and given me instruction. There could be seasons where it's your marriage as well, or it could be seasons of certain kids or one kid. And so I like to look at it a practical way, Lord, like I'm just going to begin to write down, because I'm a writer, not like an actual book writer, but just like I like to write things down. But I like to write, and then, all right, Lord, like what is it in this? I'm going to lay this at your feet, and we're going to pray, and then you're going to begin to show me what that needs to look like that I begin to pick up. But I just think it kind of just goes back to we have to slow down for our own self. We have to slow down for our own spiritual sanity, for our own, because there will be a lot of guilt and condemnation and a lot of things that people expect us to do. We all have probably a certain level of expectations people put on us, wherever that may be, wherever walk of life it is. I do it with people in my own life, right? We all just kind of, that's how we go But I would just say, begin to give yourself the grace to take that time to seek the Lord, and then begin to extend that grace to other people. Because I just realized people are in some really, really tough spots. Some people have just a lot going on, and the Lord's showing them the rhythm of that. But I just think also, too, as we begin to slow down and give people grace for the season they're in, we begin to give ourselves grace as well. So